how do some people manage to study for 8 hours in a day when you start feeling bored after 1 hour itself? If you think that toppers naturally enjoy studying, then let me tell you, neurologically, even the topper enjoys those dopamine boosts, whether it's Netflix, Instagram, and study is actually boring. And I realized during my school and college days, I used to subconsciously do certain things which effectively increased my study time. And when I interacted with a lot of people after that, I realized again that those things were not unique to me. Actually, those were very common, implemented by a lot of people. And so I can put those 7-8 processes for you so that you can implement that, and I'm pretty sure first you will be able to study for longer hours, and at the same time it will make your study time more effective. And again, it's not important that you have to implement all 7-8 points that I would be saying here. You can implement any 2 or 3, choose whatever is convenient for you and what is working best for you. So first, you can try new ways of learning. What I used to do was I used to study a concept and then roam around the entire room and teach myself the same concept in my mind. When I was at IIM, I used to do the same thing using a whiteboard. I used to teach myself the same concept in the whiteboard, and you can do kind of similar thing as well. Where it will really help you is, first of all, it will help you retain things better. Secondly, it will help you understand things much better, and at the same time, at least I did not feel bored whenever I was doing this. It was kind of a fun moment teaching myself the same concept. It also helped me understand whether I've really understood the concept well or not. Apart from that, there are other ways of learning as well. For example, whenever I wanted to memorize certain things, I used to write down those things, scribble down notes. I never referred to those notes again, but I used to just scribble it down. And whenever I scribbled it, I never felt bored. Yes, if I had to make some proper notes, then it used to be a very boring thing. But whenever I used to just scribble whatever I'm studying, just make random notes, make random diagrams, I never felt bored about it. And that's also a very, very effective way to retain things, study for longer hours, and at the same time make sure that you memorize things faster. Whenever I was reading something very boring, I used to underline and read it so that my mind does not get zoned out. If it gets zoned out and I start thinking about multiple things, then it's almost like I'm reading the same line again and again, but nothing gets registered in my mind. And if you get zoned out once, it's almost impossible to come back to the same topic. So if you're underlining it and then reading it as well, it's almost impossible to start thinking about multiple things in that situation, and that is going to help you increase your consistency. If you get up from that topic and think that you can again return to the same boring topic, remember, because your mind knows that it's a very, very boring topic, you will keep procrastinating it. So you would want to cover that topic as much as possible in one sitting. Next process is gamification. So basically what you need to do is gamify your learning process, and it's a proven technique known to improve the study time. And I unknowingly used this method while studying maths, probably also the reason why I was really good at maths. I used to learn a particular concept, then solve 10 problems on that topic, and then check the answers from the back of the book. And then I used to give myself points. Out of 10, how much I have scored? 5 points for every correct answer. And if I had scored say 5 out of 10 correct, then I used to feel really bad, and it was kind of a motivator that I cannot end this at 5 out of 10. I want to solve the other 10 and this time score better. So you can gamify your study technique in your own way, but if you find it difficult to do, then you can do the third thing, which is to reward yourself after each study schedule. What you have to do is, in rewarding yourself, either you can watch like 30 minutes of say a particular show, or you can start playing whatever you enjoy during those 30 minutes or 1 hour after your study schedule. But remember, never allocate time for that. Like you will study from 2 to 4 and after that only you will study. If you are doing that, then it's almost impossible to stay focused during those 2 hours. What you have to tell yourself is, I will complete this particular chapter. Estimate before the starting that chapter itself how much time will it take. It might take you 2 hours, 3 hours or so on. If it happens after 1 hour, it's completely fine. But if it happens after 3 hours, 4 hours, then also it's completely fine. But tell yourself, I will complete this chapter, and after that I will watch 30 minutes of this particular show, and then this technique will be very, very effective. But do you know what's the best reward that you can give yourself? And that brings me to the fourth point, that is to compete with someone. Remember, it has to be a healthy competition. It is not to put someone down, but it's a healthy competition where you are trying to improve yourself. If you lose as well, you are trying to get better the next time. And I used to do this during my CAT preparation when I was solving the mocks. I used to compete with a set of friends. We used to give them same mocks together, and we used to compare our marks at the end of every mock. This was such a great motivator. First of all, if you scored better, it's a great dopamine boost. Comparing your marks itself is a great dopamine boost. And at the same time, what it used to do was, every mock we used to take very, very seriously, because we knew that we have to share our marks, so it has to be a good one. So it's almost like every mock paper we used to take it as seriously as we were giving the actual CAT exam. Moving to the next one, which is more about your physical space rather than your mental space. But before we move there, make sure if you haven't subscribed to the channel, you do that, especially if you are a student. I am pretty sure you will find the content which will help you improve your life. So the next point is to give yourself a fixed space to study. It can be a particular table, it can be a particular corner in the bed, or it can be a particular room as well. But it should be a fixed space to study so that whenever you are there, you know that it's your study time. And at the same time, make sure that that particular area is clutter free. So maximum one book, one copy, one pen, one bottle, whatever bare minimum is required for you to sit there. And you don't know why, but if you have a lot of clutter around, your effective study time will reduce. If you have multiple things at the same place, your study time will reduce. You will be able to concentrate and study for longer when there are minimum things in that particular area. And avoiding the clutter is not only about the physical space. That brings me to the next point as well, that is avoiding the clutter in terms of materials that you use. So I've especially seen this during CAT preparation. A lot of students get confused in the kind of material that they want to use, so they buy multiple books for all the sections, multiple books they refer to while they are studying a particular topic, and that is what effectively reduces your study time again. Avoid the clutter in terms of material as well. Stick to that one material. There's a lot of fear of missing out. I know amongst the students that this book is better, that book is better, but almost all the books, 90% of things in all the books are similar. If you pick one particular book, do not feel like you are missing out on something. Just stick to that one particular book. That will effectively help you increase your study time and learn better as well. While you should use minimum material, but you know what's the most boring thing to do while studying? That is to arrange your materials, to bring all of those copy, pen, book and everything on the table. And that is one particular thing that you need to avoid. Whenever you have decided to study, make sure 10 minutes, 15 minutes or even 1 hour before that, you arrange all the material on the table, go out, leave, return back at the same time and start studying. If all the material is there on your table, if all the material is ready for you to just open and start studying, that first of all will help you not procrastinate things for later, and at the same time will increase your study time as well, because that 5 minutes of activity is so boring. Arranging your books and everything, it will absolutely kill your will to study. And if you had planned to study for 2 hours, it's almost likely, because you got so bored in those 5 minutes, you will end up your study time in 30 minutes or 45 minutes maximum. I used to do that while I was preparing for CAT along with my work. I used to set all the materials on the table before leaving for work in the morning, and then when I came back from work, I was so tired, still I managed to study for certain hours. And I noticed that whenever I did not set those materials in the morning, it was almost impossible to come during the night and take out those books from the cupboard, set on the table. That 5 minutes of activity was so boring, I was almost certain to procrastinate it. And finally, coming to the last point, if you are someone who is not used to studying for longer hours, 4-5 hours in a particular sitting, then what you can do is practice sprints rather than marathons. What you need to do is something like a Pomo Technique, 30 minutes of studying, then 5 minutes of break, 30 minutes of studying again, then 5 minutes of break. You can do this for 4 times, so effectively you have studied for 2 hours and then can take a longer break, maybe 1 or 2 hours after that, and then repeat that process. So this is something which will definitely help you get less bored and help you increase your study time, because you're giving sufficient time in between for yourself to refresh your mind. So I hope you will implement at least 2 or 3 of these things, and if you implement it, let me know if it increases your study time or not, and if it helps you, make sure you subscribe to the channel before you leave.